probably come from the person standing next to Tanaka Hughes. One of our racers from Japan is this young lady who has come in as a challenger. Medina Eisa is such a talent. She's run 14:16 for 5,000 meters, which when she was a teenager, that wasn't ratified as a world record because it was in London and they didn't manage to do a dope test with her afterwards, but she then subsequently ran 14:21. So that is the world junior record. Jebet Ngetich going for Kenya in this. Mabratu of Ethiopia, another of their very good, young, talented athletes. And when you mention the times, 14:22, it wasn't that many years ago that there was hardly anyone could run that sort of time. Then we've got Gebre Salama, who's not only, and a lot of these women are the same, they're so proficient on the track, but the roads are now such a big, important part of the distance running portfolio, if you like. I know, Carrie, you were in Germany last week, where some of these people were racing, and none more so than this young lady, Agnes Jebet, who set a new world record for 10K on the roads.
Well, we saw her in Jamaica lead both of those races before, and obviously we're looking at Elise Cranny, who we mentioned as well, but Ngetich right next to Elise Cranny there, she looks so dominant at Road to Records in Germany that I think that she's going to bring that confidence here and potentially be that one to lead the race again.
And we should mention that when she tried to run away from Taye, the wind was, was substantial. Not the same here. Beautiful evening. A bit of a breeze, definitely, down the back straight, but obviously that means it's with them in the home straight. But it's hot down there on the track. Whatever the ambient temperature is around, you just concentrate it there in the track, on the track. But these women are used to running in conditions around the world, on the roads, cross country as well, and in the track. So just to talk about this, Eisa, I've watched her. You start to follow someone's career, don't you, when you see somebody with just all of the tools that you think you're going to need to dominate. It's okay running fast times, and sometimes these days, because of the shoe technology that we've seen over the last few years, you can't always compare to, I don't know, what Tirnes Dibaba did, or Meseret Defar, or you don't go back that far. But Medina Eisa she's got pace, she can kick, maybe not quite developed that as quick as one or two others yet, but that's getting better all the time. And for me, though, she runs really smartly as well. She's understood her craft very early on in her career.
But she's 20 years old. I know you've been mentioning that she has that U20 record. She's run so fast over 5,000 meters already, but she is so good on the roads, which we just saw last week with her. She won her third in a row at Road to Records, which is an event held at the Adidas headquarters in Herzogenaurach, Germany. I like to say that.
Oh, nice.
I know, right? But anyway, she sat, and then kicked. And she's so calm for a 20-year-old athlete. But she's also very good on the cross-country courses, and she's really good on the track. I mean, she is a phenomenal runner. She's the one that we're talking about right there in second place on the inside. And yeah, I think she's the one to watch for the sit and kick type race.
Well, she hasn't hung around very long, and Ngetich, who I know herself has talked about how desperate she is to have a big track career. She's been phenomenal, as we've already mentioned, on the roads, but she wants to show what she can do on the track. The thing that I would then say is you can't always lead. You won't always be able to run away from the big fields, the best athletes. And certainly Eisa is beginning to come into that category. Can and Ngetich here run away from the young Ethiopian, and indeed Gebre Salama as well.
Well, we saw Ngetich last week, or keep saying last week, in Jamaica a month ago, tried to lead those races, and Ejigaya Utayu, she just sat. I mean, she was even, Ngetich was asking for help, right? And people don't want to do that. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of racing on the line. So it is smart for Agnes Jebet, the one in first right here, to be pressing this pace because there's a lot of people behind her, including even the American Elise Cranny, who maybe doesn't have the PR that some of these athletes do up front, but she's got very fast wheels. She's a sub-2 minute 800-meter runner, sub-4 1500-meter runner. You have to run the legs out of athletes here, and especially at Grand Slam, where we're not talking so much about times, it's all about the win.
2:54 through the first kilometer. Now for these women, that's not super fast, but it's fast. But it is fast because there was a 73 first lap, and then it's picked up since then. So she's now clocking 68 which is fast 3,000 meter pace, never mind 5,000 meter pace. And you can see what that's done already. Now we've got this field completely stretched straight away, and she's putting the pressure on early.
Sige Gabrisalama there in the third position. You know, she too is one to watch. She was third at both of her races in Jamaica, and I think in Jamaica she wasn't real pleased with that. I spoke to her coaches, Dathan Ritzenheim and Kelsey Quinn, and they said she's just been awesome in practice right now. Her workouts are going better than ever. She's working out with the guys, staying with them on their threshold workout. So, you know, just keeping an eye on her, but there is a little bit of distance happening here.
And you know why? A 65 lap, and that, you know, that's good 1,500 meter running. Well, it was a few years ago anyway. But yes, and that's why the only one who's now staying within Ngetich, as expected, is this young talent from Ethiopia, Medina Eisa. That gap already stretched in the space of 400-500 meters. They've taken 2-3 seconds out of the rest of the pack here. Let's just see what this lap is going through here. This is Ngetich early on. The problem with this is, Carrie, you start throwing in, she's gone a 65, then a 67. You start slowing down. If you throw in a 65, for me, you've got to be able to do a couple of laps like that to really break somebody. There's a great British athlete, great friend of mine back in the 70s called Brendan Foster, and Brendan had this tactic of breaking a field up by two laps, and then once everybody's broken, that's it. But she has not broken Eisa here, and 67, she just might find that if she can't keep the pressure on, there's still a long way to go here, a long way to go. If she can't keep this pressure on, then it becomes easier for Medina Eisa to hang on.
Well, she went through 1,600, the mile, at 4:34. Excuse me. That's a 14:22 pace for the 5,000 meters. So this is hot.
Yeah, just approaching 2K of 3, and sorry, of 5. Let's not forget. I mean, this pace would be good for a 3K race, but it's a 5K, so something's got to give here. She's either going to slow at the front, or if she can keep this going, surely Isa's going to find this tough. But she knows it's very easy when you're following, isn't it, Carrie? You know, there's no kind of, what am I going to do here? It's all you have to do is concentrate on hanging on, and you just hope that the pain, you know, it's going to last to the end of the race, but you hope that this pressure that's being applied is not going to be the pace all the way. They couldn't hold that all the way. It's just a case of what does it come back to? What sort of pace can Ngetich keep on at the front with?
What I find so phenomenal with Ngetich, she is someone that has been, she was in Jamaica, then she went home for a little bit, then she went to Germany and she ran that 10K, the world record for women only in the 10K. Then she's here, she's traveling so much. She loves to travel, but is there a time where you start to feel that travel? Is there a time where you don't get to do a lot of training in between? And she's staying sharp here. And I love what Grand Slam has done, because they will be able to have a little bit of time in between that final Grand Slam in LA and then the World Championships next fall.
That second kilometer was 2:48. I mean, if they ran that pace the whole way, that's 14 minutes. You know, that's the world record.
Let's go.
Well,
Let's
but
go.
that's my point. But she's slowing down. And that's what I was saying. She went 65, 67, 68, and then now is looking round.
She is.
Oh, I've got problems here because Eisa is still here.
Yeah.
And it's 69 for that lap that they've just completed.
Well, and Meshesha now is starting to enter the picture, and she's in third place there. She is running very well already. She does have a 4:29 under her belt already from this season, so just a week ago. So she knows that she can handle this pace, and if she can keep her eyes up, she can reel them in.
4 seconds behind, and yes, two good athletes, very good athletes, best in the world in front. However, they are slowing down, and this to me was a mistake from Ngetich. For me, you run steady, get 5 or 6, 7 laps out of the way, then you go bang, and you've got to be able to maintain that, keep that pressure on in the middle of the race. By running as fast as she did that early, look at her, she's saying, come on, you do some leading. There's no way that Eisa is going to come round her. She's just going to sit there. She may be concerned about Meshesha getting closer at some point, but there's no way she's going to lead.
Well, Eisa is saving herself for this final kick, in whether it's the last K or what, but she is definitely saving herself here. But I'm liking that Eisa is sticking to her plan. I mean, this is what she does. She sits and she kicks. You know, like I said, she's only 20 years old, but she knows how to run calm. She knows how to be confident, and she runs her own race.
Jebet Ngetich in 4th place at the moment, a long way distant of 3rd. Meshesha just getting a tad closer. It's now more like 3.5 seconds.
But don't you like how Meshesha is just taking her time as well? I mean, there is still pressure at the front of this race, but she isn't trying to close that gap real quick.
And just to make the point, Meshesha's last few laps have been, you know, 69, 70,
Yep.
70. She's just running steady while these guys have been slowing down. I mean, I think Ngetich probably will look to go again if she can. That's all you can do. You settle at this point in the race and see whether you can go again. That's just counting down how far to go. As an athlete, you don't want to see that.
As a viewer, you do, though. That's cool, man.
I shut my eyes.
You're just counting the laps when you're hurting at the front here. And certainly for Eisa, she's counting the laps. She's not thinking and knowing. But, as I said, she'll just begin to get a little concerned that Meshesha is close enough. Although I don't think that gap is closing anymore. If anything, Ngetich has probably just settled into that 70-second per lap zone and is not getting any slower than that.
Well, Medina, the woman in 2nd there right now, she's not one to have a lot of 1,500 meters, even 3,000 meter races. She has run some 3,000 meter races, but she doesn't have a lot on her CV that shows what her true kick is. But she has great 10Ks. She's already run a great 10K on the roads this year in, I think, February it was. So she knows she has that strength. But when you watch her, you know she has a lethal kick. I mean, she sits. This is her MO. She sits and she winds it up only when she needs to.
Well, depending on what happens with the pace in the last 3 or 4 laps, and Ngetich could well be heading for a new personal best anyway with 5,000 meters on the track. They went through 3K, 3,000 meters in 8:38. There are plenty of women around the world who would be happy for that as a personal best. That gap now to Meshesha starts to grow again.
And they are picking that pace up. We're going to see that the last 400 meters was a 68.
3 to go. It's getting hot again. And Ngetich, this is the big effort. This is where she has to try to break Eisa. Eisa knows if I hang on for another lap, there's just 2 to go. Then there's no way I'm going to let her get away. And if we get to the 400 to go, I'm going to back myself to outkick her. And Ngetich knows that. Eisa knows that. So the two of them with completely contrasting thought processes going on now. Both are hurting. Both know the pace has been hot. The pace has been fast. All down to Ngetich. No way that Eisa is going to help. But can Ngetich just turn that screw a little bit more? Sadly, I think not there. Carry 71 for that 400.
Well, Ngetich is the 2nd fastest half marathoner of all time. She might not have that real true speed, but she knows how to grind it out and hang on for dear life. She says she likes to be in charge. I reached out to her and I said, what do you like about racing? She said, I like to be in charge, and we've seen that time and time again now. Look, you can see she's trying to put a little bit more stress on the pace there, but Medina in 2nd is just hanging on.
2 laps to go. They're heading for something under 14:30, which will be a phenomenal performance from Ngetich, as she's pretty much run this from the front, gun to tape. But Eisa may well find, I'm sure, some speed over the last lap, last 200, last 300. Who knows? To pull it closer, maybe even to 14:20. Who knows? But she looks tired for the first time. The 20-year-old just rocking a little bit. That is her style. She's one where, you know, you can sometimes tell when she's tired. Some athletes you can't tell at all, but there's only 600 to go. Hang on, that's what you need to do. For Ngetich, somehow find a little bit more pressure. 72, she's not able to lift it at all here.
Ngetich is a product of great runners. Her mom was an actual track athlete as well, really good runner herself, and now, as you can see, she's still asking for a little bit of help, and Eisa doesn't want to give it to her.
Crowd on their feet in the home straight. They're loving this. This has been a great display of distance running. 2 of the best in the world record holder for 10K on the roads, coming onto the track to try and take perhaps the best talent, the best young talent that's around on the track at 5,000 and perhaps 10,000 at the moment. Medina Eisa of Ethiopia in second place behind Agnes Jebet, 300 meters left.
She has to go now. Agnes Jebet has to go now because you can see that Medina Eisa is just waiting. She's just waiting to move out. But this is where Ngetich has to really draw it out. She only has about 2:20 to go.
Still heading for something under 14:30. It'll be a personal best for Ngetich, I'm pretty sure, unless she completely falls apart. She tries to lift it a little bit there. Round the top bend, 150 to go. Eisa is still waiting, and hats off to Ngetich here. She's found something. She's stretching away. Isa's hanging in there, moves out wide as they come into the home straight. It's the Ethiopian who just comes alongside. The tape is out. It's ready. Who's going to get there? Isa's just trying to forge her way ahead. It's so close, but Ngetich might hang on. The Kenyan gets it. Wow. Well, sometimes you get your rewards, you get what you deserve, you do the hard work, others follow, others chase, but they can't quite get there. The script said that Eisa would sit and sit and sit and sit and then come past in the last 200, and Ngetich tried numerous times to break her. However, Ngetich somehow pulled that one out of the bag in the last 100 meters. That was guts, wasn't it? That was brilliant.
I love that. If anyone can go and watch how to finish a distance race, it's right there. You do not give up until you break that tape, and that's exactly what Agnes Jebet did. Watch this last 100 meters. Eisa moving up on the outside. And again, it starts to move again. Just look at that arm carriage. She's going for everything right now, knowing that she finished second in both the 5 and the 3 in Jamaica. You know Ngetich did not want that to happen. And look at that drive all the way through. She punched that tape. She was pumped. Huge smile. Look at this. The grit, the glory. It's beautiful. I love it.
And she has knocked almost 10 seconds off her previous best for 5,000 meters on the track. Look at that smile, look at that elation, look at the joy there for her. When you lay it all out there, look at that, she was celebrating 5 meters out. You know, Isa's day will come. She's a massive talent, a brilliant talent. And I did say that the one weakness for me at the moment is her sprinting at the end of a race.